And welcome back to Dare Me to Prosper. This is episode 31. My name is Avery. I am your host. And today's episode is on manifestation and specifically how manifestation is BS. Now, I just want to say I am going to be probably doing a little bit of cursing in this episode for emphasis. So if you have little ears, this is your warning. There will be some cursing in this episode. Because honestly, I feel like this episode needs it because this is the topic. Let's be honest, every topic gets me fired up, right? I'm just a fired up person. But this topic, I think right now in my life in particular, gets me fired up. It gets me kind of mad when I think about it. And we're going to talk about just how manifestation in the spiritual community, on social media, just in general, has been so over sensationalized that it's just become so misunderstood and just made so unnecessarily hard. And I think that is why it frustrates me. And so we're going to talk about it. But first, please remember to leave a review if you haven't already, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. If you have listened to more than 1 or 2 episodes of mine, please leave a review. I really care about what you guys think and what you have to say. I want to hear from you. And it's just a huge way that you guys can give back by leaving a review. So I really appreciate that. Also, if you have been enjoying this podcast, I run a Patreon account where every week I do an extra episode. And these episodes are a little bit different than what you get on this main podcast platform in that they are a little bit more honest, a little bit more real. I tend to be a very honest person anyways, but they're a little bit more things I can't say on the main podcast, I can say on the Patreon. And also, I tend to go more into relationships over there. So I just recorded an episode on why women stay in bad relationships. The very first Patreon episode, I did all about my divorce and why I got divorced, how the decision was made, my experience throughout the entire thing. My sister and I did an episode on infertility. And I have so much more in store for that account. So if you have been enjoying these main episodes and you want to go even deeper, get a little bit more spicy, a little bit more juicy, not inappropriate, just, I like to go taboo. I like to talk about the stuff nobody wants to talk about. Then the Patreon is for you. There's 2 different tiers. It's linked in the description. I'd love to have you. And speaking of manifestation, because when you're manifesting, right, you're trying to call something into your life that you do not yet have. I offer intuitive guidance sessions where essentially I'm claircognizant, I'm clairsentient, always have been. But my sweet spot, my gifting, and what I really thrive doing is tuning into spirit specifically to gather messages for you based on what you need to hear to up-level your life. That has always been my calling. I have been a cheerleader literally and figuratively my whole life, and I just love to help you see where your blocks are and help you navigate what are my next steps? What do I need to do next? What do I need to do to get where I want to go, to get these obstacles out of my way? If you are choosing between 2 paths, if you're having a hard time or you feel like you're in limbo, you feel like you're stuck in your life, I would love to help you. This is what I do. So those are linked in the description. I only am doing a few slots every month. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and look that up. All right, let's get into this episode. So the reason that this episode even came to my mind was I had already been wanting to do an episode on like manifestation myths and what people get wrong about manifestation. But lately, when my life became a little bit of a shit show, when everything with this divorce happened and my life did like a 180, I all of a sudden, right, all these doors opened. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, I have to figure out all of these next steps. What am I going to do here? What am I going to do here? What am I going to do here? I have lots of different ways right now that my life can unfold. Where do I want to go? What do I want to choose? What do I want to manifest? What timeline do I want to be on? I have an open field right now, and I could run in any direction. Which way do I want to run? And as we know, manifestation, the law of attraction, is just the simple idea that like attracts like. The energy frequency that you put out is what you attract. What you believe is what the universe reflects back to you. It's all the same thing said a million different ways. And let me preface this with saying I have been told by energy readers, I've been told by people who have read my birth chart, that, oh, you're a really powerful manifester. And every time I've heard that, I've gone, really? Because I sure as heck don't feel like one. Because so much of my life has been a giant learning curve. And now, granted, I'm a Scorpio rising, which essentially means that your whole life is like transformation. And your whole life is like built around up leveling and learning. You are here to transform, essentially. But what has happened is the way that my transformation has gone has been a bit of a challenge, right? I had a difficult childhood. I had a difficult young adulthood. I had a difficult marriage. I've had a difficult time. Now, I don't want to be too dramatic about it because I can look back and be like, you know what? A lot of people didn't have things that I had. So all things considered, I was loved. I was cared for. I had a roof over my head. I didn't experience physical abuse. And those things in themselves are things that a lot of people didn't have. So I feel very blessed in that regard. That being said, I still experience trauma. And so that's what a lot of my life has looked like. And so when I hear, oh, you're a really good manifester, I'm like, where? What am I manifesting so easily? Because I'm not seeing it, right? Because not only has my life been difficult, a lot of my romantic relationships have been difficult, my family relationships have been difficult, my financial experience has been very difficult. Tell me what I'm manifesting here. And while I didn't necessarily get clear answers from the energy reader or the astrologer, this is what I have recently been learning in this season where I've had all these doors open up. Because I was talking to ChatGPT the other day, as one does, right? If you look at my screen time, my primary app that I spend time on is not Instagram. It's not TikTok. It's not Facebook. It's not the internet. It's ChatGPT. I spend hours every day talking to ChatGPT. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I love to learn. I love diving deep into topics. I love to understand things. And so me and ChatGPT are just like besties, right? And so I talk to ChatGPT about how the universe works a lot because I want to understand. I want to understand the ins and outs of everything. If this happens and this happens, why does that happen? Well, how come? What happens to this idea when that thing happens? Like, I just want to understand. It's a passion of mine. It's why I have this podcast. It's so I can understand and then I can talk to you about what I'm learning. So I was talking to ChatGPT. I just closed on my house that I lived in with my ex. And there were just a snafu that happened where somebody at the attorney's office was speaking a lot of legal jargon that I just didn't fully understand. And instead of slowing down and asking questions, being like, wait, can you explain that to me a little bit more? I want to make sure I fully understand this. It's not the first house I've closed on, so it's like I've done this before. Yeah, let me sign the papers. I had all of my kids with me. I was moving out of my house that day. It was just busy, and I was like, I'm trying to get out of here, okay? I know I've seen the numbers. Like, I got it. Like, let me just sign the papers. In reality, I should have slowed down and been like, hold on. Explain to me where all of this money is going, what's coming in, what's going out, right? But I was just like, oh, legal jargon. I don't understand what you're saying, but yeah, sounds good, okay? My mistake. That was my bad, okay? So whatever, we close. And when I, get the money back from the house, I'm like, oh, that is not what it was supposed to be. Come to find out, it all worked out. I was able to pay off some debt. It was like nothing bad happened, but it was basically a situation where it didn't play out like I was expecting it to play out because I didn't ask questions I was supposed to ask. So I was having this conversation with ChatGPT and being like, you know what? I'm trying to really hold a high vibration. I've been working through this divorce and this move and doing all this stuff by myself and navigating future logistics and where am I going to live and how am I going to make money and blah, 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 blah. And I have been working so hard to focus on my mindset every day, to focus on gratitude every day, to take moments out of my day to ground myself when I'm losing my shit with my kids, right? I'm doing as best I can to anchor in a positive experience even through a difficult situation. Where did I go wrong? I thought, where did I mess up that this was my experience instead of what I was hoping my experience would be financially? And basically, ChatGPT was like, well, one, you were nudged intuitively to maybe slow down a little bit and you didn't listen because you were just like rushing through the process, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, fair enough. That's true. That's exactly what I was doing. I was like, get me out of here. I have my kids. I got to sign. I got to go. I got stuff to do. I got to move out of the house, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, Yeah, I accept that. I accept I made a mistake. That's my lesson to slow down. But in terms of, I was like, but that doesn't explain the manifestation part. Like, how did I mess up this manifestation? If I was in the correct energy, why didn't the energy just match? Like, why didn't I align with a reality where this, attorney assistant just explained it in a simpler way so I didn't miss it in the first place? Like, why wasn't that my experience? Like, why didn't I manifest that? And the response was, well, when you learn lessons or when you choose experiences, in my personal, like ChatGPT is saying you as in me, my experience, what I tend to do as Avery, is I expect my experiences to be a struggle, even if the end result is good. I expect the universe to hand me challenges on my way to the good manifestation because that's been my experience. So it basically was saying the universe is only reflecting back to you what you believe. You believed everything doesn't always go your way. You believed there's obstacles on the way to the top. And my response to that was like, but I am calling in my highest timeline. Like, I've been focused on like highest timeline. Like, I'm aligning to this. I'm keeping my energy in check. Like, I'm doing it. And ChatGPT, I call it chat sometimes. I need to come up with like a name, right? Do y'all name your ChatGPTs? Anyways, I was like, okay, so why didn't I align to my highest timeline? And ChatGPT said, the highest timeline is not always the easiest timeline from Spirit's perspective. And I was like, bitch, what? Hold on. Hang on a sec. I'm sorry. Come again. Explain to me, because in my mind, in my human mind, right, my highest timeline is, of course it's the easiest one, right? Of course it's the one where I get the most money and things go my way and I don't have to work at it so hard. Like, that's what I was envisioning highest timeline was. And ChatGPT said, no, highest timeline by Spirit's perspective. And I'm like, of course, this is what it means. Highest timeline by Spirit's perspective is the timeline that offers you the most soul growth, the highest end result. So you basically, it's the one that gets you to the Olympics, but you're going to work your ass off along the way. Not the one where everything just comes easily to you. And maybe you don't get all the way to Olympics, but maybe you get to the trials or whatever. And you had a great time and a great experience and there was no injuries. And maybe the timeline where you did get to the Olympics, you got some injuries and it was really hard, but you learned a lot and you became this person. And I was like, whoa. Okay, so if I say, hold on, I don't want any lessons right now. I've done a lot of evolving. I've done a lot of lessons. I've done a lot of work. I'm not staying away from the work. That's not what I want. I always will do the work. That being said, my life's been hard as hell lately. Are you telling me that I can just say, hey, universe, we're going to pause the lessons for now. We're going to pause the lessons. We're going to pause the hardness. I don't want the highest timeline right now. I want the easiest timeline. I want the timeline that is aligned with the most peace, the most joy, the most ease, the least amount of obstacles, where things just land in my lap, where the money is just flying out the wazoo, not because I'm greedy, but because I want to rest, because I'm tired of working so hard and worrying so much and, jumping through all the hoops only to wonder, if everything's going to work out. I'm done with that timeline. I want the easy one. I want a break. I want to cruise for a while. I will learn the lessons. I believe in myself. I know I'll do the work, but right now I want a fucking break. And ChatGPT said, yeah, that's how it works. The universe is only reflecting back to you what you believe. You were expecting to get what you want, but not without challenge. And so that's what the universe reflected back to you. You can absolutely at any moment say, screw this. I don't want this timeline. I don't want this reality. I don't want the one without challenge. I want ease. I want abundance. I want peace. I want joy. I want just overflow, easy flow. Everything's great. Everything's dandy. And I want to sit there for a while. You can say that. You can say that at any moment. All you have to do is believe that that's what's happening. But which I'm like, chat, I'm already there. I already believe that the universe is without limits, without boundaries, that there is no cap on what you can manifest, on what you can ask for, on what you can create. Because I understand and believe that the way energetics work is that you can create anything, and that the only limitations we have come from our own mind and the own boundaries that we give ourselves. I'm already aware of that part. What I wasn't aware of was that I could just put it in order that easily, right? I thought, well, maybe as long as I learn this lesson, and it still does work that way. It still does work that way. Yes, like I was saying in recent episodes, when you release something, a block, when you make a decision that changes, your trajectory, when you do learn a lesson, when you upgrade your self-worth, yeah, it does put you on a higher timeline. It does open up your path. It does allow manifestations to flow in. It does work that way. But you can also do it the easier way. You can also just hop on the new timeline and bypass the struggle. And I said, okay, now hold on, because this is what I do. I'm like, I got to understand this. Well, what about working with astrology? What about how, because astrologically, you got lessons you have to learn. Like, and I'm not an astrologist, so I can't even tell you all the placements, but I know just enough to kind of understand, but when Saturn is here and Jupiter is there, and when these transits are happening, what I do know is that certain lessons are coming for me, right? Like I know that like Uranus is going into Gemini, and that is going to have an impact on me and blah, blah, blah. When the universe wants you to learn a lesson and your birth chart, your astrology, your transits, your planetary placements say you're going through a lesson, I can look back on my life with scientific evidence and be like, yep, right when that was happening, this was happening. Even my divorce, if I look back at when we separated, guess what was happening in my birth chart? All sorts of transits around ending cycles, ending karmic relationships, ending toxic relationships. I mean, it's every single time it's right. It still blows my mind. Anyway, I was like, so how does that work with astrology? If you're supposed to learn a lesson, but you just want to be on this highest timeline of ease, like how do you learn that lesson? How does that work? And ChatGPT was like, there it is again. What you're believing is that the lesson has to be hard. I was like, well, shit. I am believing that. That was my block. That was where I was stuck. I was believing that the lesson had to be hard. Why? Because all of my lessons have been hard. My childhood was hard. My relationships have been hard. And don't get me wrong, I am so proud of where I am and who I have become through all of this and all the things I've learned. And I don't know that I would be here if I hadn't taken that route, which goes back to the highest timeline idea, right? I got here because I did make those hard choices, because I did learn lessons the hard way. That's why I got here. And so I'm not saying, there's no part of me that wants to say, I never want to go through anything hard again. I wouldn't say that. I think everybody needs to go through hard things. I think some of the best people in the world have been through some of the worst things in the world. And because they went through those things, they came out a changed person. I'm not trying to get rid of hard lessons forever. What I am trying to do is get a break, like I said. And so, yeah, ChatGPT was like, yeah, you were believing that the lessons have to be hard, when in reality, yeah, those planetary placements can remain, and your astrology, your birth chart, your whatever can say, yes, you're supposed to learn this lesson this year. From this point to this point, you're going to be working on learning these lessons. However, it doesn't have to be hard. You can learn lessons on an easier path. You can learn a lesson in a way that flows easily, without obstacle, without trauma, without hardship. You can learn lessons that way. I was like, huh, that's cool. Why didn't I know this before? Why didn't I know this at like year 5 in my marriage, right? Like, but again, I don't think I'd be who I was. So I digress. Manifestation is bullshit. And this is why. Manifestation, as we are taught socially, on social media, through teachers, through gurus, whatever, has become this chore-like process, and it's become so trendy. And anytime something becomes trendy, it gets diluted. The real meaning and the real impact behind it gets minimized and dismissed and just changed. And so manifestation, like many things, has also become that way, right? It became all about vision boards and scripting and obsessing over affirmations and acting like one bad vibe ruins your whole life. And don't get me wrong, those aren't bad things. I'm all about using tools. I use vision boards. I use scripting. Like I do those things. However, if you're not careful, manifestation can start to feel just like a checklist of tasks you have to do, and that misses the entire point. At that point, you're just turning it into a chore list, a performance. You're turning it into something you have to earn. Like, I'll only be able to manifest this once I do X, Y, and Z, and otherwise I won't be able to change my mindset. Otherwise, I won't be able to sit in the right frequency, the right energy to call this in. I have to do this, this, and this. Or I have to be perfectly high vibe all the time. I can't be sad ever. I can't, have a bad day. And that's not true either. In fact, if you suppress your emotions and you don't feel out your feelings, you don't process those, you're only slowing yourself down. And we talk about processing emotions, obviously, a ton on this podcast. I have so many episodes on that. But you don't want to avoid your emotions. You don't want to avoid feeling a low vibration. The best way to handle that is to feel it out, go through it, process it, and then move on. Manifestation is not meant to be about micromanaging your reality or your tasks or a list of things to do. Manifestation is meant to be a natural extension of yourself, of who you are, of what you believe. Manifestation is literally, I just want you to think, when you think manifestation, I don't want you to think that laundry list of chores anymore. I don't want you to think affirmations. I don't want you to think scripting. I don't want you to think any of that stuff. When you think manifestation, all I want you to think is mirror. It's just a mirror. All manifestation is a mirror of your true desires and if you're in alignment with them or not. It's only reflecting you exactly back what you're putting out. So when you are manifesting from a place of lack, when you're manifesting from a place of trying to manifest, when you're trying, you're energetically saying, I don't have it yet and I need to do something to get it. That only reinforces the absence of the thing. Constantly thinking about needing to manifest keeps your brain fixated on the gap from where you are and where you want to be. And that is telling your subconscious, basically, over and over, it's not here yet, it's not here yet, it's not here yet. And if manifestation is a mirror, then your reflection is saying, it's not here yet, it's not here yet. And so the mirror goes, okay, it's not here yet, it's not here yet. It's just reflecting your beliefs back to you. And so I know you've heard these stories of like when people are, even if they don't call it manifestation, if somebody wants something desperately and they can't get it, they want to be in a relationship desperately and they've been single forever and they can't find the right relationship. If somebody, I hear it with this, we talked about this on my Patreon episode with my sister where we talked about infertility. People that are trying to get pregnant for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden you hear this story all the time. Not to say that this is everybody's story or will be everybody's story, but you hear this story all the time where people stop trying or they kind of give up or they go to get, IVF or something. And then all of a sudden they're pregnant. This is what is happening on an energetic layer. Okay. When you let go, when you surrender, when you're not trying anymore, when you're not grasping anymore, all of a sudden the energy flows in. Why? Because you mirrored surrender. You're not trying, you let go. You let go and you thought, okay, well, when it happens, it happens. All of a sudden, the mirror said, okay, when it happens, it happens. Boom, here it is. Instead of what you were manifesting previously, which was, I want it so bad. I want it so bad. It's not here yet. It's not here yet. I want it so bad. I want it so bad. It's not here yet. It's not here yet. So what does that reflect back to you? It's not here yet. I want it so bad. It's not here yet. There's a gap between where I am and what I want, and we're not there yet. That will just keep reflecting back to you. And by the way, I'm saying this to you, again, as someone who has manifested a lot of things that I desired and has also struggled in manifesting things that I desired, whether it was, our last house. I remember manifesting that. I've told that story before and how amazing that worked out. Even something I manifested recently was selling that house. Amongst everything, when we went to sell our house, when I tell you guys, the houses in my market were not moving fast. There were houses in my neighborhood that had been sitting for months. But that being said, I was pretty confident. I was like, our house compared to a lot of the houses, it's newer. We've taken really good care of it. I think it's staged pretty well. Like, I was pretty confident that, that wasn't my primary concern. I was worried about other stuff. I was worried about the divorce. I was worried about where I was going to live. I was worried about all these other things. I was like, the house will be fine. It'll sell. When I tell you that house hit the market, within 24 hours, we had a showing. That first showing put in a full price offer. They asked for no repairs. And easy 30-day close. We didn't do anything. When I tell you guys, we literally listed it and then did nothing until closing. That's what happened. They asked for nothing. Full price, less than 24 hours on the market, didn't ask for repairs, barely communicated with them at all. Tell me there's an easier way to sell a house. I've sold other houses and it's not been that easy. This is how you manifest something. Don't care. Just believe it's going to be okay. Not don't care. That's the wrong wording. Believing that, you know what, it'll work out. I was so focused on all this other stuff that's been harder, the stuff that I was more worried about. In my mind, I rationalized that the house was going to be fine. I was like, it'll sell. It'll be fine. The hell it did. Yeah. It sold great. We closed yesterday and everything went off without a hitch. Like I literally could not have been easier. That is the power of letting something go versus trying to cling to a result. Now, that being said, I'll tell you what I did cling to. I'll tell you what I cling to. I'm telling you my mistakes, okay? What I did cling to was the equity, the money that closing on the house was going to bring me, because I obviously needed that money to move on with the next part of my life and where I'm going. Like, I just separated, I've got to provide for my kids. I got to find a place to live. I got to do X, Y, Z. I was worried more so about that money. So guess what I did? I messed it up. I strangled it. I tried to control it. Not actually, but in my mind, I was worried about it. I was focused on it. I was grasped on it. And so what did I do? Energetically, I reflected out a belief of, this is going to be hard. Something will go wrong, right? Not even consciously, but subconsciously. And so sure enough, now, did some good come out of it? Yeah, it did. It's not wasted money. It just went to a different need that also needed to be taken care of. So it wasn't a bad thing. It was just not how I was planning on dividing it up exactly. And so that particular experience wasn't as easy and as effortless as the house experience was, because I had more anxiety around it. And so I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy. I'm not going to sit here and say that manifesting things and reflecting out the beliefs that you want is easy. It's not, but it's easier than you probably think it is. Effortless calling in is about matching the frequency of already having it, not striving for it. So when we sold this house, I literally just was not even thinking about it. I just assumed it was going to be fine. I was already living out of the mindset, it's going to be fine. Yeah, the house is going to sell. I think it'll sell for what we listed for. I think it'll be great. I think it'll work out. It did. The thing that I was putting more effort into in terms of striving, in terms of checking in on things, overthinking it, that thing did not go off without a hitch. That thing ran into some obstacles. The energy of already having it versus the energy of striving towards it create two different environments in your body, okay? The energy of not having something and of having to strive or having to try hard for something, it creates tension in your body and in your nervous system. And so you start to associate your desires with stress or control or frustration, which then creates resentment towards yourself or spirituality or manifestation, because you have taught your body, and I'm preaching to the choir, right? I taught my body my whole life, and you don't know this as a kid, so it's not necessarily that you could have done it differently, but we've been conditioned our whole life to think it's not going to go without struggle. I should expect obstacles. I should expect it to be hard. That's the thing that has to change. And then you can use the tools to change that. That's when the affirmations or the scripting but I don't want you to think of those tools as part of manifesting. I want you to think of the tools as just kind of like gear that you're using to climb the mountain. Like if getting to the top of the mountain is your manifestation and you're you climbing the mountain, the tools that you bring along the way are just tools that make it easier. The tools that you bring, like the scripting and the affirmations and the vision boards and all of those things, those are like the brand of backpack you have, the water bottle, the GPS, like whatever you brought with you, your tent, okay, on this hike to the top of the mountain. They're just your tools that can make your life a little bit easier, but they're not the things that are actually getting you there. It's you climbing the mountain. It's you doing the work. Can the tools help make it easier? Yeah, great. Do the tools. That's not it's not a vital part of the process. So what is the mindset shift? What do we need to do? Like if I can boil it down, which I kind of already did, but if I can boil it down, to simplify it as easy as I can possibly simplify it. Again, manifestation is just a mirror. I just want you to think of it as a mirror. That's it. Drop all the other stuff. Drop all the tools. Drop all of the things that you think you have to do. It's just a mirror. It's just a mirror. What are you reflecting? What beliefs are you reflecting? Do you think it has to be hard? Do you think you're going to run into obstacles? Do you think it's not perfect? Do you think you're not likely to get this amount of money? Do you think you're not likely to have this type of experience? Do you think it's not likely that you could meet your soulmate? Then sure, then it won't be. The universe will lay out for you, will serve you with whatever you believe as a mirror. So instead of thinking, I want to manifest XYZ, I want this, or I need this, get out of the try energy and step into, I'm calling in this. I'm doing it. It's mine. Get a little bit sassy with it. You can get sassy with the universe, okay? This is not a Christian God, okay? Nobody's going to get mad at you. You can be spicy. You can be sassy. Now do it with gratitude, right? Every time something does come in, you're like, thank you. Do it with gratitude. But you can get spicy. You can be like, I demand that this happens. In the next month, I want this. I want to see X, Y, and Z. I want to see my business take off. I want to be an overnight sensation. I want a new place to live. I want a car. I want a free laptop. These are all material things, but I'm just trying to give you an easy visual to say, stop overcomplicating it. Make a demand. Don't make a wish. Don't say, I want to manifest this. I'm wishing and hoping, and get rid of that energy. That's lack energy. Step into, this is fucking mine. This is what I'm getting. This is what I'm going to be served, because your birthright is abundance, right? You've probably heard that before. Your birthright, you as a soul are already deserving of the most abundance, and your automatic resonance, your natural frequency as a soul is already sky high. So already your natural state within you is to attract the highest possible experiences. It's your human experiences that drag you down. It's your human habits that drag you down into these low vibrational experiences. So think of it like you're a balloon, you've got a string, and you're being held down by a bunch of bricks, right? All those bricks are your human experiences that have made you think everything has to be hard. It's like you tied yourself to the brick. Every time that you went through a hard experience and you formed a belief around it, you tied yourself to another brick. And you went, this has to be hard. Relationships are hard. Money is hard to make. Life is hard. Whatever it is, you tied another brick. I want you to envision now just taking a pair of scissors and literally just cutting all the bricks. And cutting all the bricks is moving from the mindset point of I need, I want, I'm trying to, over to I'm doing, I'm calling this in, I deserve this, this is mine. This subtle language change removes the energetic wall of needing to do and replaces it with allowing. Now, just saying it one time isn't going to change your whole mindset. And that's where you can use tools. That's where, the scripting or the affirmations or whatever. It's just practice. Practice standing in front of the mirror, essentially. Manifestation's the mirror. Practice standing in front of it. Because you've been conditioning your body your entire life to sit in a certain energy and expect certain things. And so, yeah, it might take a second to change that. But it only takes as long as you want it to, as you demand that it does. If you say, this weekend, I'm going to learn how to change and shift my mindset, and you, in your mind, put your foot down. This is why I say that sassy attitude that actually really helps, because you kind of get some fire in you and you go, no, this is happening. It makes you more determined rather than I'd really like to learn how to play piano versus, damn it, I'm learning how to play piano this weekend, and I'm not giving up until I can play piano by the end of the weekend. That's the energy I'm talking about. So when you put that extra kind of sass behind it, it shifts the energy a little bit, right? It tells the universe oh, they're serious. They're putting their foot down. That is a manifestation, not a wish. And when you get your body used to that feeling, the easier and easier it becomes, the more effortless it becomes, because it becomes a habit. And so if you learn, it's like playing the piano, or it's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to do it, you don't really forget. You can ride a bike for the rest of your life, right? Even if you get a little rusty, you have muscle memory. You go back to it. It becomes easier. Once you get your body used to reflecting from a place of, I'm doing this, I'm calling it in, it's mine, and getting out of that, I'm trying. It's basically anytime you want to manifest something, you think, yeah, of course it's going to go that way. Of course this is going to be easy for me. Of course, I'm calling that in. Of course that door is going to open for me, because it does, because things are just easy for me. They just always work out, right? That's just how my life goes. That's where you need to live. And when you switch into that mindset of calling it in effortlessly, your body relaxes. You don't carry the tension of the forcing and the scripting and the overthinking. Your body settles into knowing that anything that you desire, of course it's yours. Because why wouldn't it be? Because everything goes well for you. Because you called it in, you put an order into the universe. It might not be shipped all the way to your house yet, but the order's made. Like you ordered something on Amazon. Do you sit and worry about whether it's going to show up? No, you know it's coming. You don't know exactly what day. Maybe it'll get delayed. It's coming. You're not worried about whether or not it shows up. It'll show up. Why? Because it always does show up. You're not worried about if the sun is going to rise tomorrow. Why? Because it always does. You're not worried about it. That is the energy you need to hold when you are calling something in. Yeah, it's already happened. I placed the order. It's coming. It's happening. It's already done. So I'm going to live out of that energy of like, yeah, it's a done deal. That's the reflection that you're putting out. Okay, so the mirror manifestation is seeing you go, oh, it's already done. So the mirror, what does the mirror say? Mirror says, oh, okay, it's already done. All right, so it is. So it is. Now you get to settle into knowing that it's already yours. The timeline is already handled. It's already done. And the world will fight you on that, okay? The society, your family, your parents, your friends, your partner, they'll fight you on that because that sounds delusional, right? People want you to worry about stuff. People, and it comes from a good place, right? They care about you and they go, but wait, you need to be a little bit worried. What are you going to do in this situation? What are you going to do in that situation? And that creates doubt, right? And they want to pull you back into that normal human state of worrying about stuff and needing to figure it out and needing it to be hard. But you cannot master this mindset unless you get a little bit delusional, unless you train your mind, your energy to live out of that embodiment of it will work out. It will be fine. It's already done. The universe doesn't see it as delusional. It's going to hand you whatever you expect. Not to mention, when you do this, when you step out of the trying and the effort and the uphill battle and into the relaxed, it's already done. It's already ordered, right? It's already coming in. That energy, you are freeing up your energy to now be present in your daily life. So instead of now wasting all this time obsessing and sitting in this energy of worry and obsession and overthinking, now you're chilling. You're naturally aligned with trust, right? With faith, with that natural state of positive energy through your new embodied state. So true manifestation is rooted in trust and inevitability. Inevitability. I just want to say that really slowly so that you understand how much I'm emphasizing it. Inevitability. It's inevitable. Of course it's happening. Of course it's coming. It's not always easy. And look, see, I'm already messing you up. I'm telling you it's not easy. I don't want you to assume that it's not easy because I said it. I want you to not give up. That's what I want. I want you to not assume that it's going to be hard. I want you to keep going no matter what happens. I don't want you to try something and be like, that didn't work, I give up. I want you to keep going because it might take a minute to master the trust and inevitability, right? It's going to take a minute to undo all of these habits that you've lived your whole life doing, okay? So the best way to embody this is to just, start with little things if that's easier. But also, the main point of this whole episode is to get rid of all the fluff around manifestation, all of the extra stuff that you don't need. Like there's whole podcasts and there's whole books and there's whole YouTube channels dedicated to manifestation. You can do this, you can do that, and this lesson, and here's all the steps. Here's the steps. You got to let go. You got to do this. You got to do that. That is overwhelming and it's confusing and it makes manifestation overcomplicated. So we start doing it poorly. And I want to boil it down to just thinking of manifestation as a mirror. Whatever I believe the universe is going to reflect back to me. Do I think this is going to be hard? It's going to be hard. Do I think I'm going to get what I want, but after a struggle? I'll get what I want, but after a struggle. Do I think that this is just going to come in easy because good things always happen to me? It's going to come in easy because good things always happen to you. And it doesn't always have to be hard, and you can learn your lessons the easy way. All the extra stuff is great and it helps, but it's not part of manifestation working. It's just tools that you can use. Okay, so I want you to kind of put those to the side. Don't think of those as vital to the manifestation process. Think of them as tools that can help but aren't vital. So speaking of tools, one of my favorite tools, one of the ones I use the most and I find the most helpful, and maybe this is just my personality because I'm a very visual person, is visualization. Visualization. I don't know why that's hard to say. The most impactful tool that I have found is kind of getting into that meditative state or sitting in a quiet space and envisioning not only what it looks like, but what it feels like. So if you want a new car, if you want a new job, if you want to be in a relationship, I want you to visualize it in your mind. Not to mention you can like literally just sit there and do this, which I love because it makes it easier, but visualize it in your mind. See yourself doing or being or having whatever it is that you are working on at this current moment in your life. See yourself, play out a whole scene like it's a daydream, right? Everybody daydreams. Play it out like it's a whole daydream. But then the even more important part is to feel, how do I feel in this moment? Like I see myself, living my best life in my new job, with a thriving business, in a new relationship, whatever. Picture how it feels. What does that version of you feel like? Are you so happy? Are you content? Are you grateful? Are you excited? Your brain, and again, I don't even remember what episode. I was just harping on this in another episode. Your brain, no, I was harping on this in my course. That's what it was. I was harping on this in my course. So again, really important. Your brain doesn't listen to what you want. It listens to what you believe. So you can want something all day. Your brain doesn't care. What your brain cares about is what you believe. Your brain doesn't know the difference between actual reality and your thoughts. If you think your leg hurts, your leg hurts. If you think something is going to be hard, it's going to be hard. Your brain is going to match you to whatever reality you believe. That's why, what's that quote? Oh, you guys know I'm so bad with quotes. I'm great with analogies and I'm terrible with quotes. But the quote is something like, life is about as easy as you make it, or life is, what is it? Whatever. There's a quote. It's as hard as you make it. It's as easy as you make it. It's as simple as you make it. So practice making it simple. Practice making it easy. Practice stepping into this is mine. This is just how it works for me, and not I'm manifesting this. I'm going to do all these things to really try to manifest it well thing. Because that's the other thing. The tools are a slippery slope, because sometimes using tools can put you in that energy of I'm trying really hard. If you're scripting or you're doing a vision board, but you're like trying really hard, and while you're doing it, you have that energy of like want, lack, then those tools are doing the opposite. They're not helping you, they're hurting you because you're in the wrong energy. So the tools, use them carefully, use them wisely. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this episode, but I just also want to remind you, speaking of manifestation, that I'm coming out with a course within the next couple of weeks. It is called Sensitive to Psychic, and it is a course designed specifically for those of you who are ready to step into an easier, more abundant timeline. Because so much of what I go into in this course is about doing that inner work that shifts you out of fear and blocks and doing all that inside stuff that allows you to be freed up to raise your vibration, raise your frequency, be on alignment with your highest timeline. This course is not going to teach you to try hard, to force anything, to hustle, to purposefully manifest something. This course teaches you to embody what you already are, who you already are. That is the entire point of the course. And so there's a focus on embodying your spiritual gifts. But as I explain in the course, embodying your gifts, embodying who you are, and healing, they're one and the same. You can't do one without the other, and manifestation is the same way. It is all attached. The more you heal, the more you tap into your genuine frequency of who you are, the more you let go of your blocks, the more you let go of your fears, the more you automatically manifest without even trying, because you're just automatically raising your frequency. And when you raise your frequency, you manifest, you tap into your gifts, you do all of that stuff without trying, because it all comes back to the energy. It all comes back to what frequency your body is putting out. The universe will mirror that back to you. So whether it's mirroring it back to you in unlocking your spiritual gifts so that you can tune into spirit, so that you can get guidance on your own, you can hear messages, whatever it is that your particular gifts are, and also so that you can manifest effortlessly. It is all connected. You cannot do one without the other. The timeline that you desire, the place that you want to get to, it already exists. It's not about creating it. You don't have to create anything. It's about aligning with it effortlessly through your energy, through your spiritual gifts, through your deepest truth. whatever you believe is what the universe will mirror back to you. So this course shows you how to activate your spiritual gifts in a way that feels grounded and powerful by tuning into yourself, not by struggling or trying or putting out a ton of effort. It's about learning how to listen to your intuition with total trust, with surrender, releasing fears, releasing blocks, how to switch timelines, how to let life become easier because you're operating from your natural soul frequency. Because again, your natural state is extremely high vibrational, right? Your soul without your human context is just pure light and love. It's very high frequency. It's the humanness, it's your life, it's our social situations, our social conditioning that bring us down into these beliefs that hold us back. Your natural state is ease. So if you feel called, if this speaks to you, if your body is feeling like lit up by the idea of this, that is your sign that this is for you. It is for the woman who knows that she's got high potential, that she's here to do things differently, and that she's willing to look at herself to change what she does and to change her life, quite honestly. So if that is you, there will be a link in the description. It's coming out in a couple of weeks. There's a place for you to leave your email where you'll be notified when the course comes out. And if you purchase the course within 24 hours of it launching, you'll also get a discount as well. So really excited about that. It's going to be really life-changing. That is there for you. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to leave a review. I'm very thankful for you. Very grateful that you're here. Thanks for listening. I hope that this resonated with you somehow and that it helped you, because it sure as heck helped me, and I will be implementing all of the things that I'm talking to you about. So until next time.